I'm Splashes, and welcome to episode 4 of Always Online SMP. And I think this will be my final episode here. Unfortunately, the server and I have different goals, I guess. We just don't quite mesh perfectly together. And we've gone ahead and we've done some stuff. We've gone ahead and bred up our villagers quite a bit more. So we now actually have 6 of these guys, and some of them even have enchantments. We have a mending guy, as well as somewhere over here we should have a silk touch guy. It's actually this guy here. So that's really neat. Um, but yeah, this will be my final episode in this series, and things just didn't work out, and that's okay. So this episode, what we're going to do is go ahead and build ourselves up a dragon. Because I didn't really get to build anything in these 4 episodes. I spent so much time focused on gathering these villagers and just sort of getting set up that I feel like I failed to see the forest for the trees, and I missed out on a big chunk of the fun that is Minecraft. So, let's go out doing something fun and building something pretty to leave behind. Okay, so some good news and some bad news. The good news is I now have a nice fancy pick with Silk Touch and Efficiency 4, which should make this a lot easier. I've also gone ahead and done a little bit of very minor terraforming around here. I think I'd actually like to extend out this plateau a little bit more, so you have this slightly raised area, and then this little area that's raised a little more where the dragon will rest their head. And unfortunately, my camera account is not whitelisted on this server, and I do not have access to replay mod, so I guess we won't be doing a time-lapse, but instead I can sort of take you through the steps as I'm thinking of how I'm going to build this thing. And right now, I'm going ahead and cooking up a lot of cobblestone into stone so we can have ourselves a nice, smooth, pretty dragon. With that, now we just have to wait ourselves a little bit. And we also have a stone cutter here, so that way we can cut the stone without necessarily making a giant mess. Let's go ahead and do that little bit of terraforming, and then we can jump in right as we're about to start building the dragon. See you soon. Okay, so we've gone ahead and done ourselves a little bit more terraforming over here. We've smoothed out this area and covered up these holes. Sort of smoothed this out, extended out this little area here, lowered this here, and cut down the hill here. We've also gone ahead and gathered up ourselves a bunch of leaves and some wood, as well as we've gone ahead and converted all the stone. We've also gone ahead and made a stone cutter and brought ourselves out a crafting bench. So with this, we can go ahead and start making our dragon. So I'm thinking what I'm going to do here is I think I'm going to build the head here, and I think I'm going to build the head first, because the head is really going to define the scale for the rest of the dragon. The head is sort of where most of the important details are, and so you need to get the scale of the head right before you do the rest of the body, because the body you can just make bigger or smaller fairly easily. My idea is to have a relatively small head here, then have it extend out, or have a neck extend out, with the body laying sort of here, and then with the tail coming out sort of all the way down to here. And then I'm thinking right around here, I'm going to go ahead and build up a tree, which will sort of lean up this way, and then have a lot of branches extending over the dragon, so it'll look like the dragon sleeping under it. And I think that'll be really, really cute. But I think the first thing we need to do is get ourselves set up building some dragon bits. So let's go ahead and get ourselves set up with some cut stone slabs, as well as some cut stone stairs. And I think that should give us something to start with. And I think I want to go basically make a layout of how I want this to go first. So let's put... Do I want a 2 center head or a 1 center head? I suppose it depends on if I want a pointed snout dragon or like almost a dog snout dragon. I think I'd rather the pointed snout dragon. I think I'll go 2 here, like this, and that'll basically be the head there. So it'll come down here, and then we'll have the neck. It'll sort of Actually, I think that's kind of might be too big for the head. That's a pretty big head at this point. It's gonna really make the body quite large. It's gonna be the best way I could do this. Actually, you know, let's do sort of the dog snout dragon instead, which will let us have a 2-center head. And so we'll say this will basically make up most of the head here. And maybe we can put something on the cheeks to make it look like it has sort of like fluffy cheeks or something. Ooh, those the dead corals would work very well in here, and there are some corals over there, so I could go ahead and get some corals. And then the neck will sort of extend out and down, sort of that. Let me pop this guy off. And I'm not liking this. I need to think about this a little more, I think. I think I want to move the head over further, and I actually might even just want to do a one wide head. Maybe I can do some iron trapdoors for cheeks to make it a little fluffier. Put the head, like, oops, here. And, really not sure on this. Let's stick with the two wide head for now. So I'll do like that, and then sort of come down here like this, and then we'll go into the body here, which will be a little bit larger. Something like that. You have a neck. I think I want the body a little bit bigger than this yet. So we'll have the body slump down a bit into the ground here. So head, neck, and then body's about the same length as the neck, which is probably a little bit too short, but it's probably okay. We could probably... This is probably still small enough, or large enough, that we can still make out little bits like the various legs and the wings. And then we'll have it come back down to here, sort of in a big tail. It's not exactly where I wanted to put that, but we'll say it's good enough. Sort of like that. Let me go up a little bit, and let's see sort of how that looks here. I think we're gonna need to shrink. I actually like how this body looks, but this head needs to be smaller. This head needs to be a 1 wide head instead of a 2 wide head. And then I think this layout will be almost perfect. Let's go ahead and extend the body up slightly here. And then we'll come up here, and let's drop this guy down to a 1 wide head, sort of like that, I'm thinking. I'm thinking something like that, maybe. I think that looks good. Yeah, so that'll be the head, and then we'll have the neck here, and then we'll have the body here, and then the tail. So I want the head and neck to be about the same length as the body, and about the same length as the tail. So I think I'm going to need to adjust the proportions a little bit here, but I think that's a good starting point for us to play with. Okay, so we've gone ahead and made quite a few more modifications, and I think this dragon is really starting to come together. Though, of course, with it all being the same color right now and the same texture, it kind of just looks like a stony beach, as JoJo put it. We've gone ahead and we've sort of trimmed down the head a little bit because it was getting really tall, and we sort of made it look like it has a horn. And there's still a lot more left we have to do on this guy, but we're starting to get a basic shape here. We have the neck here, and I think the neck actually looks pretty good. Let's just stick a block there. I think that'll do it good. Then we have the 4 claws sort of coming off here. just like this, and then the back claws sort of folded up a little bit, sort of like this here. Actually, let me have it sort of drop down like that. Yeah, I think that's good. And so we've worked on this thing quite a bit more, and we've gotten a little bit more shape down, and I can start to see the dragon quite a bit more here. We've gone ahead and shortened down the head because it was really tall. It's still actually the same height, but we've gone ahead and changed how it looks a little bit, so it has this gap here. So now this thing looks more like horns, and I think that looks better. We still have the body here, as well as the 4 legs now coming off, as well as the tail. So the next big thing we have on this guy before we start detailing is, and I'm really not sure how much detailing we're going to do, because I'm kind of liking this sort of petrified dragon look, is, let's see, should I stick a block there? So yeah, you know what, I think I like that more. Let me drop this block here and drop this guy here. Sort of like that. Yeah, I think that's good. Actually, no, I'm not super thrilled on how this curl is coming. Actually, I really like the curled tail though. Yeah, I think that's fine. I think the tail looks nice, and you're still able to see like all the stuff here, because this is one leg, this is the other leg, and unfortunately with all these being basically the same block, it's kind of difficult to really differentiate between them. And eventually we'll mix in some andesite, and I think that'll help. Though I'm thinking what I might use is I might use the andesite as sort of like a wing webbing. And so we'll have the wings sort of come out here, and I'm thinking, I'm gonna just use dirt right now to play around with this idea. Because the wings on a dragon normally come out at the same point as the forelimbs, roughly, just a little higher in the back. So it'd be coming out sort of like this. And then I want them to go forward and sort of back a little bit. So it would sort of come up kind of like this. So that would be, so you have one wing, and then the other wing would be about the same size in the other direction. So let's say it goes here, and this wing will stay up floating a little bit longer before it comes back down. And then from here it will sort of come over kind of like that, I'm thinking. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. In hindsight, dirt was probably not the best option to use because it's already fading into here, and I'm probably going to get confused by this. And then over here it sort of comes out, and I think this needs to come out a little bit further, like to here, before it starts turning back. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-ish blocks. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-ish blocks there. So yeah, I think that's good. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-ish blocks there. And then in this direction, once we here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if we stick one more block here, that'll be our sixth-ish block. And actually, this is 6 blocks on a diagonal, one, because it goes out to here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blocks there. And then over here, we have, from this corner, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-ish blocks here. So I think this should actually be slightly longer, maybe coming to there. And that would sort of round out the tip, sort of like the other one sees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, geez. Okay. No, that does actually look okay. So now with that, let's go ahead and lay down some stone here. And I'm thinking the andesite will make a nice webbing in the middle, and I should really sleep before I have another creeper blow up my leg again. Or at least my dragon's leg. So I've gone ahead and sort of converted the wings now to stone, and as well as I've put like a center spine sort of down the back of the wings, as you normally see with dragons, how they're depicted. Of course, because of the scale, I can only really put a single spine down the center, or it'll start to be just too much and it'll be stone. And I'm thinking of doing something that is probably cardinal sin. So instead of using andesite, because it's really close to the stone, I want to sort of mix the andesite into the dragon to give it some more texture and color. But I don't really have a lot of other blocks that I can use from, and I want to use a block lighter. Now, ideally, I would use something like sandstone, but I don't really have any sandstone. I suppose my other option I could use would be like a birch, but I'm not sure I really want to use birch just because all the lines in it, and I'm not even sure if I actually... Okay, I do actually have some birch wood. So let me go ahead and I'll play around with that, and I'll decide if I like the birch wood better, or if I'm going to do the unthinkable and use diorite. Because I think the diorite might actually look nice. Like, the normal diorite stuff, it has a pretty terrible texture, if we're completely honest. But I think it might give it like a little something sort of different here, if you know what I mean. And if not, that's fine. You know I'm sort of already not super thrilled about this diorite. It's... Come on, can I jump up here? It is really quite bright. Let me try mixing in some of the slabs here. Actually, the slabs are much... or the polished diorite is much more subdued, and I just wish it didn't have this dark line around it. So there was one more block that I hadn't considered, because I didn't really have that much of it, and that's granite. And I've used a little bit of the granite here in the wings to replace the wood, and I think the texture's better, and I think the color's better, so I think I'm going to use the granite. And hopefully I will have enough granite to make it all the way through these wings, or I'm going to be a very sad lizard. But once I've gone ahead and replaced these bits of the wings here with the granite, then we can go ahead and start adding some little details. Like I already have the iron trap doors to sort of make the sides here, and I might make some pressure plates, and I have a bunch of buttons, just to go ahead and add a little bit of texture and variation to this dragon to make it feel more alive and more real. But with that, let's jump ahead and go ahead and add in those details and replace those wings. No! Well, I lost all of my stuff in that creeper explosion. I was going to go get some bones, and someone said they had them, and then there was a creeper on the other side that blew me up the moment I got through. I just had no time to react at all. There was a kitty over here that I saw just a moment ago. Where did she go? I was really hoping I could tame her and have a kitty over here, since none of my other cats came back. Unfortunately, I did lose basically everything there. Fortunately for me, at least, I decided, you know, just in case, because I'm scared of the nether, I put my iron trapdoors here, which is good because I don't have any more iron trapdoors. But unfortunately, I've lost everything. I've lost everything else. I don't have anything left, and that sucks. And I don't even have Silk Touch anymore. And right now, I cannot afford to get Silk Touch. But let me go ahead, and I'm going to come in here, and I just want to grab a couple cobblestone so I can make myself some levers. And let's go ahead and get those details sort of on this dragon, and I think then that'll look really quite nice. So I've gone ahead and added in a lot of the detailing stuff. I had iron trap doors here originally, but we decided instead to go with the little buttons to look like uh, little horns on the side of the mouth, as well as we have little horns all the way down, even on the elbows, all the way down here. So as we have a bunch of little spikes along the back, which are these birch buttons, and we've gone ahead and interspersed a bunch of other blocks to try and really give it a bit more texture and make it not look so uniform. I suppose the only thing I'm really worried about with how much I did is if I overdid it and made it too busy, or it's good. I also went ahead and added a little campfire under this nose, so it looks like the dragon is breathing fire, and I think that is really, really cute. So the next thing on this agenda, and the last, is to go ahead and build the tree. And I think the tree will be nice and simple and pretty. And I'm thinking we're going to build it like right here, and then have it sort of stretch out over the dragon, so the dragon is sleeping underneath the tree, with just a little bit of it stretching over here, and have the tree sort of climb up at an angle away from the dragon, so that way it sort of balances itself out a bit, even though it's going to be really stretching over the dragon. And I think this should be really nice. So with that, let's jump into it and go ahead and build ourselves a nice tree for this dragon to sleep under. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do with building this tree is build the trunk. And I think we're going to build the trunk sort of like right here. It'll be a nice, fairly thick trunk. About 3 blocks around, maybe just 2 blocks around. Not quite sure yet. Because I am quite limited on wood, I'm not going to go ahead and make the full bark all the way around, so we'll just have to deal with the partial bark. So I think I'm going to build the tree right here, and it will sort of stretch out over the top of the dragon. So let's go ahead and have sort of like the roots come down a little bit, sort of like this. Something like that, and then have this climb up a little bit, and I want this to sort of like shift over relatively quickly. You know, I'm thinking this might be too thick here. Oh, jeez, what? Oh goodness, this is. Oh, this Precapitator is going to like actually be a problem. Wow, I didn't realize how much this that mod was going to screw things up. Okay, note to self. You know what? I'm just gonna put my axe away so I don't break the entire tree, and I think I am going to make at least 1 stack of it into the normal wood, because it doesn't look nearly as good. Okay, let's try that again. So we'll go ahead and put a couple blocks here, up like this. Thinking something like that for the basic trunk should probably be good enough. Maybe we'll go up 1 higher, and that gives it a nice little bit of angle there. And then we're going to sort of spread this out into 3 main branches going across this way, plus a little bit over here. Okay, so we now have ourselves our tree, and it does look a little bit unbalanced, which I expected, at least from this angle, but when you go out further away from the tree, it starts to look a little bit more realistic, like some of those windblown trees you might see out in the desert or the plains. It still looks a little odd, and I should probably thin out the bottoms there, because I put stuff over the bottoms of the trunks to try and make it look a little better from the underside, and I think that just makes it look way too thick. So let me go ahead and quickly take those off. But the last big thing that we have to do with this build, before we are actually done with it, is to go ahead and add in just some detailing to the surroundings. So I should have some flowers, as well as I've gone ahead and picked up some lanterns, so we should be able to light this area up, and we'll bone meal the ground around here a little bit. Unfortunately, I only have a single bone, so I only have 3 bone meal. So we'll be picking up all of the grass with shears so we can all move it around. And hopefully I have a couple flowers here and there that I can add, and I think it should be really pretty. And would you please go away? Okay, I wasn't expecting to one-shot that dog. And I think I might add maybe a couple little bushes here and there, just around. I'm going to leave it thicker on this side because that helps balance it out a little bit. But over here, this side, I can go ahead and thin everything down. And with that, we now have ourselves a lot of detail around the dragon, and I think it looks really quite pretty. We've gone ahead and added in some grass, mushrooms, a couple dandelions, a couple bushes here and there, some mushrooms. Most importantly, we added these lanterns hanging down, and I think that's really, really pretty and adds quite a lot to the build. We added this extra little tree over here, and I think that sort of balances things out a bit. As well as back here, we've hid some lanterns so that way everything will get lit up. And I really want to get a picture of this dragon at night. Or not necessarily at night, but like right as the sun's setting, just before the mobs start spawning. And I screwed it up on the last night. Mobs wound up spawning before I could get the picture. But this whole area will glow, and I think that will be super pretty. But I'm really happy with this dragon. And this will probably be the last time that I am on this server. And this will almost certainly be the last episode I produce on this server. And unfortunately, things just didn't quite work out. And it's been a learning experience. That coming here, I guess I didn't fully understand what was going on. And I don't think this is a server that I really mesh particularly well with. So we're going to move on and try to find some other place. But there have been other things that I've learned in this server that I think are important to remember. We built this nice pretty build, this dragon, these trees, all this stuff here, with basically nothing. This is just a bunch of scrap that we got from mining. I mean, we have diamond tools, but we don't have any enchantments on them. We don't have any farms. And a lot of times when I'm building these things, and I know in my other world especially, I get so caught up in mass production of stuff, so caught up in building everything, or building all these farms, that I forget to just sit down and build things. You don't need all those farms in order to be able to make pretty things. Now, enchantments certainly would have made things a little bit faster, and we would have had more options in terms of resources to build this dragon out of, but it's not something you need, and I think that's something I need to remember in the future, that I don't need to just spend all my time building redstone farms, because those really suck the enjoyment out of it for me. But with that, I've been Splashes. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye!